How's it going? I'm Ryan, and today I'm going to go over the one trade that I took on QQQ. Watched both SPY and QQQ this morning. SPY was really choppy. QQQ at least moved a little bit better, so took a single trade there. Overall, only one trade on the day. It was a winner. We'll jump into that trade in just a second. We are on the daily time frame, and I've switched up some things here, so we'll actually just skip the daily time frame. You can see where yesterday's high and low were. We closed the day pretty much right at yesterday's high. So pushed up, made a new all-time high, and then kind of closed right at the previous day's high there. So I'll do a very quick explanation of kind of what I am trying right now and the approach that I'm having to trading. So the past couple weeks have been not my best trading days, and because of that, I would get stopped out of moves before they happened, kind of right place, wrong time, and I just wanted to try something a little different. I think looking for similar price action and volume that I was before, but rather than looking at a particular level, looking at more of these zones. And the way that I'm doing that is going to the 30-minute and looking at areas where price has reversed, changed direction. And I think the best example that I can do is, like I said, I go on the 30-minute. Here we have an example. Yesterday's high on QQQ came up, reversed pretty hard all the way back down into this zone. What is this zone? This zone is where we rejected the previous two highs, rejected in the morning before breaking through, retesting and holding it and making a push back up to the previous high. So you kind of see how these zones work. This zone where we rejected here, we rejected here, rejected here, rejected here. This zone down here where we found support once, twice. Yeah, and you can kind of see how these zones where we rejected these two times, we break above, hold it on yesterday when we held that level and then rallied up, tested the next level, rallied up. So just looking at it's a bit like supply and demand, but really trying to narrow down what works best for me. And this is just something that I'm trying. I'm not saying that this is the end all be all. I just wanted to give myself maybe a different perspective or a different way to approach trades and looking for these areas of moves, and giving myself more of like a range to watch rather than a particular level. Further ado though, and I will say that's a quick explanation. I can if this is something that persists, I have some good results with, I'll make a more in-depth video and kind of try to nail down what exactly I'm doing. So the only zone that we really interacted with, and really I'm trying to just base my trades solely off these zones, which is another point. I'm really trying to not take some like intra move chop. I'm looking for reactions at these zones. I'm looking for rejections. I'm looking for a breakthrough and a pullback into that zone. And the idea is generally you should get a pretty decent move out of these zones because they are zones where big moves have happened before. So if you can grab a piece of that, you got a good move. If that move continues and you go zone to zone, then that's a huge move if you have runners. So yeah, really just looking for trades in and around these zones. So to start the day, QQQ kind of chopping around a little bit. We pushed up and tested this area, got a little pullback, pushed up again, and this is where I took my first trade. So I took puts in here. We'll go on the 2-minute because that is where I entered. I entered the trade based on the 2-minute, but also it's pretty clear on the 5-minute as well. So you can see volume just declining, right? We had pretty steady volume as we pushed up, but you see that these candles are getting smaller, right? These wicks starting to get some top wicks here. Candles are starting to get smaller. It looks like a little bit of loss of momentum. Then we see volume start dropping, and we see a very low volume. In fact, the lowest volume of the morning to this point was on this push up and retest of this previous high in this zone that we were watching. So we'll take a look at the 2 minute. So this is what I was watching, is that we had this move up into this area. When we pushed up into this area, you know, we got a big wick, pretty fast rejection out of that zone. And we started push up into this area. And the thing that I noticed is that we had volume declining as we were pushing up. And then on this candle right here, where we had a slightly higher volume, right, it looks similar to this one. We have, we tried to push up in that zone. We got pulled back, showing that sellers are up in there. So on this candle here, I took a single put. I took a 432 put, same day expiration, and I took it on this candle here. So we did push up a little bit. You know, we did set a new high, but yesterday we had this happen where we set a high, kind of chopped around, pushed up, set a slightly newer high, and then dumped. And it's essentially what we did today. But I was watching this zone particularly, watching volume kind of be weak as we push up here, watch price action respond similarly to when it did earlier, and we got a pullback. And also just witnessed, like, off the open, we didn't quite get into this zone, but you can see we got a big pullback, pushed up, pullback, push up, looking weak, low volume. This candle right here, the way it closed on increasing volume did concern me a little bit. My stop was if we broke out and continued above the previous day's high day there. But I was really watching for the 2 minute close. So this close didn't stop me out. And this slight push up above the previous high did not stop me out. I sold down in here once we hit about 432.2. Reason being, that was the last place that we had bounced from, right? And you can kind of see how price reacted to that. So I took profit with my single trade in here for around 30% or so. Obviously kind of flagged or chopped a little bit before dropping below 432, in which point that return would have been, I think it was close to 50-60%. So in that case, a runner would have been nice to, you know, lock in a bit more of that. However, this point, it bouncing from this area in here kind of shocked me, as I suspected it would be more so down in this area, right, where we bounced once, twice. Once we cleared this little hurdle, I thought we'd continue down into this block, this zone. But we did not, so that was kind of a tricky reversal, and overall just happy with the way that that moved, and I was able to take profit when I did. That was the only trade I had. The only other really trade I was looking for at this point. So once we came up and retested again, I was not interested. Also, because we had pretty high volume and pretty bullish candles, right? We weren't getting kind of these long upper wicks, these rejections that we saw in the previous two. We just pushed up and had a quick pullback. But what we were doing was setting, oh, I didn't mean to do that. We were setting, good Lord, what happened? We were setting some higher lows, right? We had this low, this low, this low. We were setting higher lows. So it looks like momentum was kind of holding. You know, we were getting rejections, but it looked like we were going to try to break through there. And I don't have the 9 EMA on, but we were also holding the 9 EMA on the 5 minute as well. That being said, the only other trade I wanted to see was this setting of the new all-time high and then a pullback into this area. And I think you can understand why, right? So even though we got a little choppy, you can see up here where we were kind of topping out. How many times, though, did we pull back into this zone and get a pretty nice move? So we can look and we can say, you know, from here, 432.7 or so to, you know, 433.3, you know, like a 70-60 cent swing. 1, 2, 3. You know, this one kind of broke below a little bit, but another swing, and then we break below, get a retest and a rejection. That's a really nice move. That would have been a really nice trade as well. The breakdown, the retest, you see that volume is low on those green candles pushing up. Very similar price action actually to the trade that I took earlier in the day, right? With this long upper wick. this, and then the reversal, very similar setup to right here. Long upper wick, this candle kind of looking like a hammer, then the reversal. It's extremely similar. So yeah, it's an extremely small sample size, just trading this style today. But you know, if I look back at just previous days and look at price action around these zones, if you chart it from the 30-minute and then go down into the 5-minute, you kind of see these break and retests, move zone to zone. You get these pretty big reactions. Even if it doesn't move zone to zone, you get a $1.50 swing, as you see here. You know, from 425.5 to say 427. That's $1.50 swing. That's, you know, easily 60-70% on a same day expiration. So trying to find what works particularly for me. I was realizing that I was getting close, but letting myself get stopped out, or just not executing, or maybe not looking for the right setup, and maybe taking setup in fear of missing out. But this, I'm really trying to limit myself to these zones. For example, we're on the 30-minute chart. I would definitely make a zone up here, right? Because we rejected so many times off that area. So that's a zone that we'll have watching coming into tomorrow for Friday. But that's all I have for you. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. I trade live every Monday through Friday. So if you want to stop by, say what's up, please do. And that's all I got. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Peace.